on Instagram as well. Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the 59th episode of Track Help on this fine Sunday evening after a week's break, because I was off at the UAE meeting up with all you guys there. If you are watching from the UAE and we met in person, give me a hi in the chat on Instagram, give me a hi on YouTube. First of all, incredible experience. Just to meet so many of you. We said on our initial video that many of you have asked to visit the different tracks there, but the amount of people that turned up, came to race, and gave me some tips, because that was obviously your home tracks, was incredible. More than that, everyone was just so nice, very welcoming, and I can't wait to do some more races because it's only so near. And we've already got Hillary in the chat. What's up, Hillary? We did meet at Kartdrome. What's up, Khalfan? He needs some help for San. Well, sure, we can get to that. What's up, Yassine? We did a SWS race at Kartdrome. And that's just a few people who obviously attended the races. What we've got today is a whole host of footage. We're going to start off in first submit, first review order. Over the course of the next hour, we should have time to do about 3, maybe 4 we can squeeze in. We got Nicolina, we got Ko, and then we got Jacob, into Matteo, and then hopefully we can round off with Harry. What's up, Harry?
Hi.
Have you booked your trip to UAE?
Yeah, I am going, but I don't know which track I'm doing just yet.
Okay, awesome. You're probably based in Dubai, so Dubai Kartdrome is going to be the one. They're probably the most established. Speak to the management there. They've been going for about 25 years. So what you'll see there for the first time is 25 years worth of work, and they've really built up an amazing community, and especially for SWS, the Saudi World Series. Just yesterday, they had a regional qualifier where it's a one-off race, and the top 2 drivers qualified for the World Finals. So the fact that Saudi recognized them as a track to host regionals means that they've been in it for a long time. I think best part of 10-15 years. So let us know how you get on with that.
Thank you.
Who is Nicolina? Is Nicolina here? I didn't think so. Is Ko here? I don't think so either. So Gleam, did you submit any footage for today in my list over here?
Well, Omar, I didn't post right now because I have one video. I want to share. If you want to review my video, I want
Absolutely.
Where to post the link of the video, Omar?
Yeah. Basically, go to this main landing page on the Academy and find the first comment. Click on it just like this. And then go into the comments and then put your YouTube link in it and a short description of what you want me to go through, just like all the drivers above have done. It looks like we had a lot of submissions, but a lot of people are not have not arrived on time, which means we're going to go to the first driver who's over here, and that's going to be Jacob. So Jacob, which out of the 3 videos is the best one to review? Because we're not going to have time for all of them, but let's pick the best one.
I have my fastest time in the second video.
Amazing. And I thought that was you driving as well. So when were you actually going to, is it Motokáry?
Motokáry Hodonín.
Hodonín, amazing. An outdoor track again with Saudi carts, similar to what you're used to.
Yes.
But and this was recent, yeah, a couple of days ago then.
Yes. First, I'll tell you some, we went there with our friends.
Yeah.
And I got some tips from the staff how to drive the track safe. But I recognized that I was just too I was too smooth, too I wasn't aggressive and enough. I recognized that I was just braking too late. Too late. I was braking too early and being too smooth on the steering.
basically this was the first time you went to this track. Is that correct?
Yes, but the big difference is that these cars are really oversteery and really sensitive on the brake.
Okay.
With 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 the cars at my local track being more or less that they're pretty balanced, and like the brakes are almost impossible to lock. And
Gotcha.
these cars are very oversteery and very easy to lock.
Gotcha. I'm just going to interrupt you for one moment. Welcome, Nicolina. Can you hear us? If you got a mic, just give us a hi.
Yeah. Hi,
Welcome,
I'm
Nicolina.
sorry there was traffic, so I didn't make
No
it
stress.
time.
We got everyone joining now. What's up, KO? Hope you can hear us. If you got a mic, just give us a hi.
Yes, I can hear.
Excellent, guys. Let me just go back to my Academy tab because I know you guys joined a few minutes late. We're going through first submit, first review order. Obviously, we started at 9 o'clock, so we had to go to the first person who was here, it was Jacob. I'm going to finish with Jacob. I'm then going to go to Nicolina since you submitted yours first, straight into KO. And then if we got time, we're going to review the rest today. Okay, guys?
Okay, sure.
Super. Let's just continue with Jacob over here. This is basically the overhead shot of your track. And it's very, very important when you go to a new track, try and get some kind of data by looking at the track map, looking at the Google map image. And yeah, basically talk me through the start of the lap, because I believe the start finish is over here in this direction.
Yes,
or is it the opposite way?
No. It like I think in some races they race the track in reverse, but no, it's this way.
Is this way normally? Cool. So we basically start the lap. It's always good at a new track, split it into sectors. So we got turn 1, which is technically this hairpin, a double hairpin sequence, a right, left. We then come to a longer sequence of hairpins. Again, it's another right.
This is one of the hardest corners because you don't see it.
Interesting. It's a blind corner as you come to it. And and that transitions straight into sector 2. So the first hairpin to the right, into the left. Now we got a bit of, straight line speed opportunity to really put our foot down, all the way to a big braking point, I assume, at the top for this hairpin.
Yes.
Coming out the back of the lap now into the back straight, and we can say this technically transitions into sector 3. We'll put it in blue. And then we've got essentially a right, left into another hairpin, and then an interesting technical section for the double right over here, which leads us into a left and then a final right. Really challenging course. After 3 sessions, what were the key corners which you still couldn't?
So I spoke to like a guy that's slightly faster than me on Instagram, and like he gave me the tip to like really rotate with the brakes, which I didn't do because I'm not used to it from my track, and also I didn't get used to the point where the brakes lock.
Gotcha. Which corners was it in particular?
So like
which sector? Make it easy. 1, 2, or 3?
No, I struggled with pretty much all corners.
Okay, that's expected at a new track. That's not to worry.
Just probably braking too early, slowing down too much, and being too gentle on the steering were the general problems.
Yeah. Since we don't have much time, let's pick one corner. Give me one corner you want to go through.
The first 4 hairpins.
1, 2, 3, 4. And that's interesting. So the similar corners, you see, whenever you go to a new track, don't get overwhelmed, because a hairpin's a hairpin, a right-hander's a right-hander, and a chicane's a chicane. But it's how tight that hairpin is, or how wide that chicane is.
This track is even tighter than my local track,
which is very, very interesting, because I know your local track is extremely tight, actually, from what we saw.
Yes,
but
this
we'll
track
go back to the footage.
it's tighter than a single road line.
that is incredible. Which time stamp in this video do you think the fastest lap was at? Because that's a nice one to
I can
really
look at it. I can search it.
Thanks to Life at the back of the grid. Really appreciate your comment. Love these track discussions, really insightful. Absolutely. You can get a lot from various different drivers at different tracks. And it's nice to hear their input and their thinking behind how they're going through the different corners. Maybe in the middle of the session, Jacob, about here, about 6 minutes or so.
Sorry, I have a bit of troubles.
No stress. Let's look at this lap. Coming through the final couple of corners onto the main straight. And again, that point you made about how wide the track is, well, it's not particularly wide. Put it into slow motion so we can really slow it down. What we're dealing with at the first 4 corners is consecutive hairpin, double hairpin turns. This is the first sequence. So, you can argue, okay, this is turn 1, but just to make it clear, let's call the first hairpin turn 1. You get slightly more track width on entry. And I would say this is very similar to double hairpin at your local track, right? Even
Yes.
slightly wider. So what is your thinking currently? What's your line and approach?
Yes. So like the hard thing is that the first hairpin really like forces you out. So you have like I heard that you can prevent it. Like you can just exit tighter, which I will be trying to do, but
You're talking about
hard.
the exit, right? Like you feel that you get
Yes.
thrown out wide over here. You can see on exit how we're coming close to the outside white line. That's a good point. Sometimes when you find yourself going out too far wide, it's about the speed you're carrying, right? So the less speed you carry, the easier it is then to keep it tight on the exit. The more risk you take because you want to gain lap time, then naturally that higher speed will force you out. Just that's how the momentum works. For this kind of corner, as we discussed, any double hairpin, I'll bring up my track map over here, is try to get your braking done for the first part because it's necessary, carrying lots of speed. But that should be pretty much the only braking point. The rest should flow nicely. And the second hairpin should be taken flat out. Is that what you're doing right now? Second hairpin flat or with the lift?
No, because I have the bad entry, but theoretically it should be flat.
Okay, exactly. And the reason is, realistically, how much speed are you going to build up from the start of my yellow line until here? Not that much, right? Certainly not as much as putting your foot down from the last corner and all the way here, where definitely you'll need some braking. So we're going to drive the first corner in such a way that we slow the car down sufficiently, and then we can take the second hairpin flat, which is where we're actually going to gain more lap time. Sometimes you've got to slow the car down early over here. Is there a specific braking point you're using? Is it on feeling for the first hairpin?
I brake. If you put the video a little bit backwards,
yeah,
I braked about here, but it was too early. Like,
okay,
yeah, I think around here exactly you should actually brake.
Yeah.
I think it's around here.
Well, when you're learning the track, you're naturally going to be a bit more cautious because you don't want to overdo it. What you've already done is establish a conservative braking point. Now it's about getting later and later. The thing is, the later and later you brake, then you're going to have to start putting more and more pressure. If you keep the same, low amount of pressure and you brake late, then you're obviously going to carry too much speed and then overshoot the corner. So if you do want to try to gain some lap time under braking, brake harder, and this is going to be with good amount of pressure. I would say this tarmac transition is a similar reference you can use, so you can see how it's a clear patch and then it becomes dark. Well, this darker because of the shadow. Let's just talk about the two colors over here. We got the white patch and then the gray patch. As you cross that, mentally it's going to be time to start braking. Early brake, early gas. That's what I'd encourage over here. Make sure you're braking sufficiently so we don't overshoot it, similar to over here. And crucially, we should be looking ahead towards our apex. And here we've obviously got the black barrier, which is a reference. The white line, the closer you are to that, or your front right tire at least crosses over it, you're doing it quite well. Get as close as possible. Don't go too early. So where my yellow line is over here, that's a bit too early. You don't want to hit that. Hit the apex over there. Again, you'll naturally overshoot. Try and go for mid, maybe mid to late, so the latter part of the corner. How do you get a late apex? Just go for a slightly later turn in. That'll help you hopefully reach the right-hand side of the track. So right now, what's happened is we're too tight on entry. Late apex will help you solve that by ending up on the right-hand side. Keep it relatively wide because you want to then go for a sharp turn in. Imagine we're preparing for this corner, the opposite side of the track where my yellow box is. Got a wider entry. To cut across the track like this, you're going to have to go for a sharp turn in, like we do at your home track. I'd encourage some leaning in this corner. If you want to take it flat out, load those outside tires with grip, lift the inside rear tire, sharp turn in, lean out. And again, the apex, once again, is going to be some kind of a tire marking. So as close to that as possible. And I'd say on exit, feel free to use a bit of runoff. Now it's interesting because based on our track map, we've got, again, a similar sequence coming up. So first hairpin to the right and the second hairpin to the left, albeit with a longer straight, and you've got this awkward entry for the first one. Let's just see how that goes. So we're basically, you said it's blind until, this point. What do you notice about the barriers here? They're almost deceiving you. You're going in a straight line, and then suddenly track tightens up to the right. So right now, what difficulty are you facing with this?
Yeah, here probably like braking too late because it's not clearly visible most of the time.
Mm-hmm. Is there any reference you can use for braking here, or is it on feeling?
I probably still in most of the corners need to find out when to brake and then find a brake like a reference. Out of it.
An easy reference you can use, because there's not much over here, I mean, there's lines on the track and all, is actually the point where we pass this, we call it a kink. So it's a bend in the road. And on the track map, you can see.
Yeah, I think from the staff, I got some tips of like braking points, mostly marks on the road, I think.
That can definitely help.
But that was like for like safe drive of the track, not for the fastest.
Yeah. When you want to go faster and faster, then it's about you just pushing the limits a bit with your braking and all. But we'll get there eventually. Of course, it's only your first time you've gone. What I would do now is try and use the kink as a reference. As my right tire comes alongside and we're bending to the right now I know it's time to start braking soon. The earlier you brake, the better. Slow in, fast out. Early brake, early gas. Make sure getting close to the inside barrier, just like this. This is a nice effort. Closer we can get over here, it means we've taken the corner to the full potential. Now, we've got a longer straight. So you're going to build up more speed. This straight compared to the previous one, which was very, very short. What are you doing for the second part? Is that a lift or a brake now for this second? Brake. Yeah. Tap of the brake. This was a really, really nice effort. And just to review it one more time, you've done a similar approach. Wide entry, maximize angle of the corner. On the brakes early. Watch your left foot. Releasing the brakes just before the apex. Hitting your apex over here, leaving absolutely no gap to it. And then on exit, slowly running the kart out wide. I think definitely over here, all that you could have done, I think the line was excellent, is just the amount of time you spend on the brake pedal. So notice, watch your left foot. You're applying pressure from this point. So we're fairly early in the corner, which is fine. But then we're holding the brakes, we're holding the brakes, we're holding the brakes. And now we're releasing. So all we want to do next time is try to go in a bit more aggressive and with a bit more pressure, right? So the harder you press the brakes, the easier it's going to rotate for you. And then you should be able to release the brakes as you feel that rotation, get on the gas before the apex. So this was a a really nice analysis we've done of the first 4 corners, I'd say keep the second part as you're doing. But just for the first couple of corners, think about sacrificing a bit of time on the first hairpin in order to get closer to the apex and closer to the right-hand side of the track, so we can set up for the second hairpin, take it flat out, and obviously gain a bit more of that lap time. When are you going to go to the track next, Jacob?
I don't know. Like we don't have a car, and the transport there is a bit complicated. So
okay,
I don't know.
Well, keep us posted. I really like how you did 3 sessions there. Next time you go, try and implement what we mentioned about at least the first couple of corners, and then we look forward to reviewing in the future. We're going to have to move on now, Jacob. Thank you so much for joining once again. I'm going to take a couple of questions from Instagram. We had McNamara. We have Palace Karting, White River, Nut Corner, Kiltor, Athboy. I'm absolutely butchered that pronunciation. And if you're looking for indoor karting, Galway Karting. I assume that's all in Ireland. And I have a lot of respect for the Irish people. And that's down to Mr. Peter Thompson, who was, of course, the first Irishman who reached out to me and, essentially gave me my Formula 4 drive. Absolutely incredible guy. Peter Thompson, chairman of Formula 4 Southeast Asia, and now chairman of F4 Saudi. You can search him up. We're going to move on to Nicolina. Before that, has anyone got any questions?
Yes, mate.
Go ahead, Marcel.
It's more a remark for Jacob. I posted it in the chat already. If possible for him, I really advise him to get some karting gloves. He was driving with bare hands here.
Did you forget your gloves, Jacob? Or because you normally have gloves, right?
We are probably going to be buying some, but currently I have only like for the winter, so my fingers don't get frozen, but I don't think they're really good like when it's warm temperature. So we're probably going to be buying some.
Honestly, you won't believe how the gloves make an impact, and even in hot conditions, right? I'd say regardless any conditions, the difference on grip it makes on the steering wheel, and a lot of the feedback you get from the kart is felt through the steering wheel. So I'd highly encourage you to get a pair of gloves, and you don't have to get the extremely fancy ones. Just go for an entry level. I think it starts at like 20 euros, 10 euros even. So just something to give you a bit more grip. Couple of questions from Khalid. I'm 18 years old. Do I have a chance to start F4? Is there an F4 race in Saudi? Absolutely. Like I mentioned, F4 Saudi Championship just started last year. The chairman is Peter Thompson. If you're interested, send me a DM. I'll show you the info. But 18 is a perfect age. As long as you're 14 and above and you've got relevant karting experience, you'll then do a test day, right? So they can assess your level, give you some improvements to then eventually join the championship. Now, if you've got lots of karting experience, you can get up to speed very quickly in that test, and they can give you a pass and say, look, get your license, join the championship. McNamara is asking, he drives Tillerson T4 and I tend to overdrive. Do you have any tips to help me with that? Well, you must be a very experienced driver, first of all. T4 is an advanced owner kart championship. Firstly, I'd highly recommend you watch the World Champions video. Mr. Bram, Red Actions. He's made a lot of videos about T4 and he explains his driving style as well. In terms of overdriving in general, think about what's causing it. Is it somebody pressuring you from behind? So then you're making a mistake. Is it that you're trying to chase somebody in front and then you're overdriving? Is that what's causing it? Or is it that you're just pushing too hard? Maybe you're braking a bit too late. You're sliding a bit too much. If it's down to those factors, you've got to dial your aggression back, right? And just think, look, slow and smooth on entry of corners can be fast, right? You get rewarded by that. Then you try to push the limit slowly until you find yourself overdriving where okay, that's it, dial it back down again. Khalid's asking, how do you contact send me a DM on Instagram right now. You're watching from Instagram. Send me a DM right now. I'm going to catch up with you after we're done with this session. We're going to have to move on to Nicolina's footage. Nicolina, you still there?
Yeah.
Excellent. Nicolina, you've shared some amazing footage of a track in Hungary.
Yeah.
An SWS race or just a local league race?
No, we have a karting league in my country, Serbia, and we go to tracks in Serbia and also in Hungary and Croatia.
Amazing.
And
So,
this was my first one. There was 3 races, and this is the second of the 3.
Awesome. So, your first time at this track, or you've been here before?
Yeah. It was I practiced for 4 or 5 sessions, I think, before the race.
Okay. So, how was your pace? Because I saw you started, I think, 6th, was it? Or 5th?
Ninth.
You started 9th. Okay.
Yeah.
How was the timings compared to practice, though?
Like a second worse than practice.
Okay. Interesting.
I was sliding a lot in the race.
Yeah. What do you think that was? Because maybe there's pressure from it's a race, or what did you feel the reason was?
Yeah, probably pressure from the ones behind, and also I'm leaning in too much, so I think that's also a problem. I'm trying to not do that anymore.
I think you got a really good start, though. Like, you're up to P3 now. We are gonna break down some footage, but just by watching your initial few laps and some of your driving.
That was a lot of sliding.
What was the key behind the good start? Because this is a very, very good start. P9 to P3 in one lap. It's not bad.
I had a fast reaction, I think, and a lot of drivers were heavier than me, so that played.
Okay, all right. So that's always an advantage. It's lucky then you didn't have to, weigh to a minimum weight. Was there no, 75 kilo, 85 kilo limit, or it's just
there was 85 kilo limit, but they didn't have weight. They told us they sold the weights, so yeah.
Okay, so you just got lucky then.
yeah, for that race. I have another one in a week.
Amazing.
At a different track.
It's a different track. Let's break this track down. I think it's an awesome track. And from the footage that we've seen, it's we obviously start in this direction. We'll go through our first sector, first couple of corners, into turn 2 or 3, you can say, the sharp left into the right. We've got a long straight into sector 2, which becomes our 90-degree right-hander. This is awesome because it's rare you get such fast-flowing corners like this. Into the middle part of the lap, long left, transitions into the tight right, and then we've basically got the final sector, which is fast-flowing corners. Right, long left, almost a chicane style, left, right, left, into the final corner. So overall, which corners do you feel you still need to improve at? Pick out a couple of corners.
The hairpin.
First hairpin over here?
Yeah. Okay. And the last in the red sector.
This right-hand over here. Awesome. Let's go through those. Basically, in this footage, where do you think your best lap time was, or a clean lap?
Middle, the last one.
Last one. Well, at least you're pushing. At least you're pushing all the way. That's
because I was calm because they were really far behind, so I was just chilling.
So which position did you finish after all?
First.
That is amazing. So what were you worrying about? Why were you stressed? P9 to P1 is superb. In a race, the position is what matters. But no, I like how you've reviewed your race, and you've still picked out improvements based on even a winning race, because that's ultimately the next level. Even if you're winning, even if you're Max Verstappen or as it is now Oscar Piastri, they still look at their races they win and see how they could have improved. Basically, this is our last lap. Let's just bring it back to the first corner. And I want to talk to you about this hairpin because it's a very, very interesting corner. Now, right now, what are you struggling with? What's
The hairpins mostly.
do you feel
the
that you're
sliding in the
some sliding?
hairpin.
Okay,
Yeah, at every
interesting.
hairpin.
It's
I think
interesting
that's
that for this kind of corner, it's basically flat all the way. So watch your right foot, flat on the gas to the right. You cut across diagonally to reduce the meters, but then you have to go back out wide because you have to approach this corner. Right now, where is your current braking point? Do you have a point, a reference maybe that helps you?
there is a right curb.
Yeah,
I
coming
think
up.
I braked. Yeah, there.
And you can notice how
Yeah.
on this lap, for example, watch your left foot just before the curb, you're on the brakes. This time a bit
Yeah,
early.
I braked earlier because I didn't want to like mess up.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's the last lap you're leading, no risk.
Yeah.
That's a nice reference because it'll always be there. And let's just look at your braking technique on this lap. For example, you're holding the brakes into the corner, holding the brakes, and then you're just releasing pretty much at the apex point. What kind of apex are you trying to go? Early, mid, late for this corner?
I tried to go a later apex, but
Yeah.
I am sliding a lot.
I think
Yeah.
later apex is the way to go. If we look at your track map, we zoom in, we've basically got this corner. So we start our braking at the beginning of this rumble. And then ideally, we want to release the brakes as quickly as possible. Obviously, once the kart is slowed down, delay our turning, and then hit the latter part of the corner. What happens when you hit a late apex like this? Now we're set up towards the left-hand side of the track, and we can flick it towards the right like that. Reason why you don't want to go for anything too early, let's say like an early apex like this, you'll get thrown off too wide, and then it compromises your run. Also, you want to try to get close to the apex at some point, as opposed to, leaving some gap, because there we're then leaving some lap time on the table. However, for this corner, on this lap in particular, how could we have got slightly later apex and closer to the apex? I think your braking is fine. Keep that as it is. In terms of the track limits, then, do you feel it's easier when you go all the way wide or when you leave some gap? What's your preference for the entry?
For that one, like maybe a little bit closer to the
Yeah.
Yeah.
The wider we can make a corner like this, the easier it's going to be to then turn in. Again, tighter the entry, tighter the corner. Have you tried using the outside curb, the rumble over here?
No.
Unsettles the car.
No, it's not good. Like someone tried it and like they slipped or something. So.
There you go. So now you know some track limits. Let's use the white line as our ideal point. Try and get all the way up to the right-hand side. Then we mentioned we'll start our braking. This is the start of the rumble strip on the right. I'd honestly go for a hard brake, right? At this point, you have to be confident. It's going to take laps upon laps to build it up, but the harder we can be on the initial pressure, how do we know we've done it right? How does the kart respond? So when we're looking at onboard footage, great way is to look at the steering wheel, for example. I know we don't have such a clear angle of it. We can see at the bottom part of our screen. But as soon as you hit the brakes, ideally, you need to have some counter steer at this point. So I know it's a left-hand corner. If you've hit the brakes hard enough, the steering wheel should be pointing slightly to the right, right? That's when you've hit it really well precisely. The moment we start, braking and then turning towards the left, we know, we could have been a bit more aggressive on the brakes. That's a great reference. Now, what about the turn-in? Well, we discussed we want to hit a late apex, which means we don't need to turn in too early over here. It's just about finding that balance, that sweet spot. And I think a nice reference, again, is using that same curb on the right side. So, make sure once you've completed your braking, we're not turning in too early. Let the rumble strip on the right side guide you, let it end, and then eventually go for your turn-in. The idea is once you pass the rumble strip on the right-hand side, completed a hard braking, a slightly late turn-in at this point, now we want to be transitioning onto the gas. And if you notice, from where we are on the track now to where the apex is, this is all that easy, path to slowly get back onto the gas. Now, you don't want to get on the gas too quickly because, the kart can snap out on you. Maybe you can flood the engine with rev so it doesn't accelerate as quickly. Just go smoothly, 25%, 50%, 75%. But as soon as we get closer and closer to the corner, it's about now we should be 100% on the gas. And again, try and get close to the apex, right? We said this is the latter part. Yellow arrow. Try and make those two connect. Yeah?
Okay.
So, turn one is all about confidence. Hard on the brakes, delay your turn-in a bit, and make sure you get off the brakes early enough so we can get on the gas. Let's go towards the last corner which we want to discuss, and that's end of sector 2, you can say, is this tight right-hand corner. So for the right-hander, currently what issues are you facing?
Sliding.
Yep, similar.
Yeah, there's a like runoff area there. Yeah, that's
Just over here.
Yeah, that was a good one, the last slide, but the other ones I got like
That was nice.
really on. Yeah.
We'll watch a few other laps. Nice to see different examples. We are just approaching it over here. Let's just take a look. One more. Yeah, that'll be fine. So you can see how the corner tightens. Not bad over here. You're talking about the exit, yeah? How?
Yeah, that slowed me down.
You're just coming off a bit.
Yeah.
That's a good observation. Sometimes when this happens, so although you hit the apex fine, you run out of road on the corner exit. This just means you've gone in a bit too fast. So we've got to look at it from the beginning of the corner. Now, I understand it's not, is it a corner you're braking at or lifting at? Because I can't quite tell based on the footwork.
Just lifting.
It's a lift. That's awesome. So with corners like this, it's really, really important to get your lifting done earlier than you think. So what's going to happen is when we're lifting, there's no gas, but there's no brake. So we call that period coasting. We're coasting with the kart. What happens is if we coast too late, so we lift off the gas, let's say a bit late, we can risk the kart coasting, and then you sort of understeer, so you end up slightly wide, and then you end up using some of the runoff. Early lift is what I would advise. I would just want to see what you did on this lap over here, because here you managed to keep it within the track. Let's just watch. See how early you lifted over there. Okay. One more time. Watch your right foot. Lift. And that's awesome, because we're well ahead of the apex. And especially in these karts, see, the idea is, can we keep the engine revs high? Is the sound of our engine going to stay high? This is the way you do it. Early lift. Go for your turn-in. You can see, I know the frame is cut off at the bottom of the screen, but you're already turning in. So lift and turn. Coast the kart on corner entry. And then as we get closer and closer to the apex, feel free now to start laying the power down. And once you start laying the power down, the kart corrects itself, it grips, and able to keep it within the track limits over here. One more thing, since you mentioned it at the beginning about leaning, I think I can tell over here you're leaning quite inwards, right? Based on your camera angle and everything. Have you tried leaning out?
Yeah, because I'm at my local track, the steering is really hard, so I need to like turn with my whole body. And these cars are fine, but the ones at my track, if I go like 3 sessions or something, my arms will hurt if I don't do it with the whole body. So I learned that way, so I'm now trying to correct it.
Gotcha. You know, with leaning out, really to start with, it's about going with the flow, going with the natural force. When you take a corner, you'll feel that the natural force pushes in your opposite way. So if it's a right-hand corner, you'll feel that you're getting pushed away to the left side. So don't fight that, just go with it. And it's all about finding that corner in your kart seat. So if it's a right-hand corner, the left side of my kart seat, I'm going to be putting my weight into and pushing against it as much as possible as I take the corner. A really good way to, if you're still struggling with leaning after that, leaning out, is then how you're holding and using the steering wheel. Here we've got the rectangle shaped steering wheel, which looks a bit like this. So I'll just draw it for you. So for this right-hand corner, which is coming up, if you can think about putting all of your effort against the outside, so you're pushing your outside hand all the way over here, you're naturally going to lean out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So think about that, the push-pull technique. The pull really is very, very less. I would say it's almost like 100% pushing on the left, outside, and then the right sort of just follows through. It's just there for support. So more pressure on the outside part will help you lean a bit more. If you can combine leaning out, and then of course in this kind of corner where you have to lift, so think about it, I'm leaning out, turning in, I've lifted off the gas. Now I'm putting the weight before the apex of the corner, to the outside. So the kart is stabilizing. This period we said is the coasting period, no brake, no gas, but we're leaning out. There's weight on the outside tires, the kart is planted, it's gripping. By the time you put gas back on, so we get close to the apex, it's going to be stable, and you should be able to keep it within track limits. When is your next race, Nicolina?
On Saturday.
Amazing. It's at a different track, of course.
Yeah, in Hungary, but Palotring.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
You're going to be recording that race as well?
Yeah, of course.
Super. Well, welcome to the Academy, first of all. When did you join? I think it was last week or week before last?
Yeah, last week.
Yeah, we've had a lot of new people join, and we're just going to go over to that section. I'd love you to come back on, share your footage, and let us know how it goes, yeah?
Okay. Thank you.
Take care, Nicolina. We're going to have to move on to the next driver. Before we do that, Nicolina has reminded me about all of the new members who've joined. And if we bring it back before the past couple of weeks, up to Glem, I believe it was. So we had Glem join, we had Israel join, KO, Eric, Mateo, Ashraf. The point is, people from all over the world are joining the Academy. It's free to join, and you can connect with drivers from around the world. Get some advice on your questions. So Justin's asking about neutral steer. Daria's mentioning about her race that she completed. Hadi is asking about what helmet he should buy. So lots of people have lots of questions. Come over here. KTips Academy is free to join. Just search for it on Google, KTips Academy, and I'm going to admit you in, like we've done for all of these people who've just joined in over the past 45 minutes. So whoever's requested to join, I've got you guys in. We are going to have to move on to the next driver. Before we do that, we had some questions on Insta. McNamara's asking about defending, and Oscar's put in a response about it's same as rentals. I do agree with that to an extent. Now remember, defending is all about luring your opponent to the outside part of the track, the dirty part of the track, and then covering off the switchback. You see, most overtakes, drive in from behind, will slipstream you, he'll go down your inside. So step one, defend the inside line. Don't give them the easy way. Then when you're on the inside line, you can risk overshooting the corner, which then opens up the switchback for them. So the way you can overcome that, get on the inside line, brake early, and then hold the inside, with 25% gas, 50% gas. And then as you cover off the switchback, power out to the corner. What's up to Philip? Welcome back to Track Help. Can you hear us?
Yes, hi.
Welcome back, Philip. We're rounding off with today's session. We're going to round off with whose footage? Chaos footage. That's it. We're going to round off Chaos footage. Do you have anything you wanted to say? Any questions? Or are you just joining in today?
No, I'm just joining. I have a race actually on Tuesday, so
Awesome.
I'll see if I can get a GoPro, and yeah, if I get the GoPro, I'll film and send the video to you.
Super. I look forward.
Yes.
Your microphone's gone.
Can you hear?
Omar. Oh, it's back now, I think.
Sorry. Am I back now? Hello. Hello.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right. I was just gonna ask. And we got a comment on here.
hello.
Johnny saying, love this track help. Watching while waiting to qualify on F4 iRacing. Amazing. Thank you so much for your support, Johnny. I recognize that profile picture and the name from Instagram. You are an OG. Thank you so much for your support. KO, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Amazing. KO, you've put a track record video, which you're watching in the background over here. You mentioned it's not your video, but you're really struggling on the hairpins at this track. And is this in preparation for a race you're going to do, or just the next time you go for practice?
I'm preparing myself for a race, but I realized they use a different track. But
Okay.
I'm really struggling with this hairpin because I did 4 sessions. Like I'm new into karting, and I had a lot to improve, but I couldn't do that hairpin right. Like
Gotcha.
I tried everything.
Well, we're going to bring up the track map. You think it's a different layout you're doing? Same track location, but the layout might be different, you're saying?
Yes, but I do think that we can use this layout because the hairpin. I think if I improve on this one, I can improve on others one.
Gotcha. Well, as you mentioned, a hairpin is just a hairpin, and we're going to take a look through. Let's just go through the track map over here. It's very, very important. I assume you're going to be doing this layout where we start going in this direction. Is that correct?
Yes.
Turn 1, do we go left or right over here?
Go left.
We're going to go left. Okay, so it's a tight left.
No, sorry.
No,
you go
no worries.
in front.
Sorry,
in front. Yeah, right over here.
It's the opposite. To this
and
side.
then left. Yeah, this side.
Gotcha. This is, you could argue, is one of the hairpins. I don't think that's actually the hairpin you're talking about. I assume the one you're talking about is coming up now, right?
Okay.
Back straight.
Then, no.
Does this get cut off?
Like you go to the left, like to the right. That
Gotcha.
one.
This is first hairpin over here.
Yeah, right.
Super.
Yep, that way, and then
through the left.
Yeah.
And now we've basically got our last sector. Is this hairpin causing you trouble?
Yeah, this is the one. I've tried everything, and I think it's the one for my time.
How about the double hairpins over here in pink?
Oh, that's not the road. Sorry, like it's the one.
I think it's the one before the layout they take, right?
Yeah, before.
Like this.
Yep.
Perfect. So actually, you're lucky you don't have to go through that challenging part. But it's nice because you've got so many different layouts going on over here. What we're going to focus on today is going to be our second sector, which was in blue, and it's this alternative layout because you can see track normally can go straight, or they can just make it into a hairpin like this. So let's just try and find that on our footage over here at this part of the lap. And you're going to have to help me out over here just to make sure we got the correct corner coming up. So this is basically the first 3 turns. This is the flowing right. Then there's going to be one more right into a left now, right, left. And now this is the back straight before the hairpin, right? Is the hairpin going to come up now?
Yes.
This corner.
Yeah.
Excellent. And when you can compare the two from obviously the track map perspective and then onboard footage is obviously much more useful. The reason is you can now see the track width. How wide is this corner? What kind of obstacles are in the way on this corner? What we're going to do is slow it down. And first thing I want to ask you is specifically what is affecting you at this corner? Is it that you're sliding too much, or you're missing the apex? What's the real issue here for you right now?
I don't think I don't know if it's apex because I'm into karting, but I really can get close. And
apex,
like,
correct.
I can really do that. Yeah, the apex.
Yeah, that's correct.
I've tried slow early, but when I slow early, the guy in the back just crashed me, and like,
yeah.
I really have no option. Like, I'm really trying to figure out how I can do that, because I tried to like slow down early and I can't.
Yeah.
I tried to slow down late and I can't. And like, I tried like 4 seasons and I couldn't do it. Like, it was so
Gotcha.
stressful for me.
Don't worry. The main thing is you're getting plenty of track time. 4 sessions is a lot. And next time you go, you'll have more chance to practice. Just going back to some terminology, the inside of a corner, the inside edge, this is what we call the apex. So when I tell you, KO, are you getting close to the apex? This is a nice example of getting close to apex. You can see his inside tire and the curb. We can basically fit a piece of paper between that. That's the ideal line. This is obviously the track record we're watching over here. The moment we start leaving a bit of a gap, similar to what you were saying, then we're leaving lap time on the table, and we want to try and fix that. So based on what you've said, when you try to brake early and there's someone behind you, they bump into you. That's happened to me many times when I've gone for an early brake. And then when you brake too late, you might overshoot the corner and then you miss the apex. Very important to start off with, our braking point for this corner. I assume you're braking right now. Are you braking for this corner?
Yes, I'm braking around that point. Yeah.
Gotcha. It's quite an open part of the track. There's no real clear reference, but maybe the outside curb is that how you're judging your braking, or is it more on feeling?
I try to search a point. There's something on the track that I try to see.
Okay.
But I don't think we can see it on the footage. But there's like these signs on the track. I try to see them.
Nice.
But none of them work.
Yeah. You see, when you're first starting out, the reference can help you, right? Whatever sign it is, because you just have an idea, a warning when you see that sign. Okay, it's going to be time to brake now. Eventually, the more and more laps we do, then we want to start converting the braking more into feeling, right? Because each kart will, have different speed, and different speeds you enter at this corner decide different braking points. So sometimes in a slow kart, you can afford to brake a bit later into this corner because you're carrying less speed. Faster kart, carrying more speed onto the corner entry, you're going to have to brake a bit earlier. Right now, what is your braking technique? How do you press the brakes?
I don't know if it's the rental karting, because I'm about to buy one for me, but
Okay.
I try to slow down a little bit, because when I press too much, I end up sliding. When I press like slowly, like time to time, like I touch it one time, touch another, it works better. But I don't know if that's how I should do it.
Especially in the rental karts, we encourage spending as less time on the brakes as possible. See, what happens if you press the brakes too much, the engine momentum goes down, 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 down. And then by the time you put your foot back on the gas, then it takes time to build it back up. So in that period of braking for too long, we've lost a lot of time. So that's why, we encourage you to go for a hard brake and use the brakes to turn the kart. Now, this takes a lot of skill. How do we press the brakes? Because they're only at the rear. The more the rear is going to rotate, and then it's down to the driver to then control that. Because what's going to happen, I press the brakes hard, suddenly it's going to rotate the back. It feels like I'm sliding, I'm losing control. That's the moment where you have to come off the brakes, and with our steering, and by applying a bit of gas, we can start to correct the kart. It's going to take lots of attempts. It's going to take a lot of trial and error. A lot of times you might spin out completely. But that's the point. You want to get over that difficult phase first. Once you can get comfortable with that technique, right, then it becomes easier and easier. What I would say right now, your focus should be is how quickly can I slow the kart down, and how quickly can I get onto the gas? Because right now at this corner, where are you getting on the gas? Is it at the apex, or is it before the apex, the gas?
The gas, I think I do after the apex.
After the apex, okay. So maybe somewhere here, or just after, like over here, you're on the gas.
Yes.
Yeah. So based on that feedback, I think you need to start prioritizing early brake, right? And that will naturally allow you to go for early gas. Now, when do you practice this early brake? Ideally on a clear lap. Make sure if there's someone behind you, you can either let them pass and simply practice in clean air when there's nobody around you. Early I can brake. So what's going to happen? Let's say, I know it's not particularly clear, this angle. The sun was very bright on this video, but let's use a reference. Just as the curb on the left-hand side is ending, let me get on the brakes. I don't know if you can see this on real life when you drive. Is there like a line on the track? Can just about make it out.
There's something on the track, but I'm looking into buy my own GoPro or some camera, and I will upload a better footage of them.
That'll be awesome. The point is, if we can get our braking done early in relation to the corner, then all of this time over here we have to brake, right? So get on the brakes hard, slow the cart down, and I guarantee you, right, as you turn in now, and we're about at this point, so just after corner entry, going towards the apex, you're going to feel, the cart slowed down. I can get back on the gas now. And that's what I want you to feel, right? That moment where you've slowed the cart down early and you're like, hold on, there's no need to brake anymore. Let me go back on the gas. And if you look at the snapshot from where our cart is now and where the apex is, this is the ideal point where we can start feeding the gas. Notice how I said feed the gas. So what we don't want to do is go 100%, right? If we go 100%, we flood the engine with revs. So what we're going to do at this point, instead of 100%, why don't we go 25%, right? So put some gas. Give the accelerator a bit of power, and you can see that's what the driver on the video is doing over here. I know it's a bit dark, but keep watching his foot. Brakes. At this point, nice and early, he's braking. He's completed his braking, and boom, look at that. He's on the gas well before the apex. Slowly putting gas, 25%, 50%, 75%. And by the time we get to the apex now, nice and close, he, guarantee you, is 100%. Look at that. His foot is all the way down. So that's how he's gaining lap time. If you brake too late, and then we start putting the gas down after the apex somewhere here, this guy who we're watching track record is already 100% gas, and he's going to pass you on the exit, yeah? This is some nice footage you've got over here. I'd really, really watch this lap over and over, especially because it's track record. You can see what the fastest guy is doing, and it's very, very easy to tell. Watch his left foot on entry. Brake. Where is he braking in relation to the corner? Nice and early. How long does he hold the brake? Let's keep watching his footwork. Just releases the brake at this point. And just before the apex, he's able to put gas down. When are you going to go to the track next for practice?
I'm going there after next week, because next week I'm going to try another track. But yeah, I think that's all I can get for help. Like, I will try to upload some more better help because I'm waiting for my camera, and it will be
of
better
course.
Yeah,
of course.
Well,
as you
thank
mentioned, what you want to try to do now is gas before the apex, right? I know you're doing gas after the apex now. All it is, early brake, early gas, just like we saw on his video. I really appreciate you sharing that footage today, Kayo, and to everyone else as well. Thank you so much for joining this track help session. I'm afraid that's all we've got time for today. Now, I know we didn't get a chance to go through Matteo's footage, Harry's footage, or Glem's footage, but what I advise, guys, tomorrow there's going to be a post for track help next week. If you're the first to put your link there and a short description, you'll be the first to be reviewed next week. Just remember, when you do put some footage to review, make sure you arrive on time. Otherwise, we're going to have to move on to the next driver. I really, really appreciate everyone joining once again. Not only joining today's track help session, but of course the Academy in the past week. If you can tell, we've had many, many members join and constantly joining. Hit a request if you want to join the KTips Academy. This is the place to be for all things karting. You can get some track help every week. you can be part of a global karting community. And more than that, have you tried our karting assistant and fitness coach? Well, that's free to use as well. We head over to our karting assistant. Let me just share my screen over here. He'll be there to help you with any question in any language as well. Same with our fitness coach, right? Ask him some questions, fitness related, diet related. He'll be there to help you. KTips Academy is the place to be, guys. Until next week at 6 p.m. GMT, we'll all see you then. Are there any final questions before we log off? I take that as a no. Thank you so much for joining. We'll see you all next week. Take care, everyone. Good night.